This book made me rethink what a normal childhood even looks like. For a lot of people, a lot of things in their life are already planned out. You know, a stable place to live, school every day, and then there are a lot of stories like this one that feel basically unpredictable all the time. And the crazy part about this story is that it's not fake. The book is a memoir, which means that it's the author's real life story. While I read it, there were a lot of moments where I just stopped and thought, "There's no way that this actually happened," but it did. So if you like books that are real, kind of shocking, and make you think about family in a completely different way, you should definitely look into this. The reason that I picked it is actually kind of random. A few years ago, I grabbed it off of my older sister's desk because I was starting to get into reading for fun. And I thought the title sounded kind of interesting, but I just left it on my desk and never actually got around to reading it. And when we had to choose an independent reading book for this class, I remembered it, and I figured, you know what, it's a good chance to see if it's worth it. And I'm glad I chose it. At first, I didn't really know what to expect because the title is The Glass Castle. It sounds kind of mysterious, and you don't immediately know what it's about. But once I opened it and started reading it, I was surprised. The first impression that I had was that it might be kind of different, maybe intense, and I actually ended up being right. So the book is The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a memoir, which means that it's the author's true story, and it's about the author's life. The book is around 300 pages, so it's not insanely short, but also not crazy long. The story takes place in different parts of the US, mostly desert and random towns, and then later on, like in Virginia. And it mostly focuses on Jeanette's childhood and her teenage years growing up with her family. This family moves around a lot, and their lifestyle is very unconventional, to say the least. The whole book basically follows what it was like to live in that family, to live in that environment. She grows up with her parents and her siblings, and her family is very different from what most people would call normal. I found her dad to be the most one of the most interesting people in this book. One of the most interesting people that I've read about. He's insanely intelligent and creative, and he has all these big ideas and dreams. For example, he talks about building this big house called the Glass Castle, and that's where the title comes from. But at the same time, he's also very unpredictable, and he makes a lot of decisions that affect the whole family. Because of this, Jeanette and her siblings are always moving. They deal with instability and basically learn how to survive in situations that many kids, many children will never experience. And the main situation is how these kids dealt with their parents' choices. And throughout the book, their future's at stake, and their ability to eventually build their own lives. Without spoiling the story, shows how people can grow up in difficult situations but still figure out what they want to become. The thing that stood out to me the most, like I mentioned, was the dad's character. He's someone who you can't really just put into one category. On one hand, he's very smart, very creative, and there are some moments where he seems like the kind of dad who wants to inspire his kids to think about the world in a different way. But on the other hand, he makes decisions that end up creating so much chaos in their lives. And these contrasts are what makes him such a character. Sometimes I found myself thinking if I should admire this guy or be frustrated with him. The author does that really well. She doesn't make the whole story like black and white. Also, even though the family goes through so much hardship, so many difficult situations, the kids constantly find ways to move forward. Instead of the book just feeling depressing all the time like a bunch of other stories, it ends up showing how strong people can become when they face these challenges at such a young age. And the writing style is also very straightforward and honest. It doesn't feel overly dramatic or exaggerated. It feels like someone just telling a story how it happened, which actually makes the emotional parts hit even harder. Personally, this book made me think a lot about how your environment growing up can shape who you become. There were times where I felt shocked by some of the situations in the story, and at the same time, it made me respect how the way the author was able to reflect on her childhood. My opinion on certain characters also changed throughout the book, also shifted throughout the book. At some points, I felt sympathetic over them, and at some points, I felt frustrated with them. And I think that's actually one of the reasons why this story is so feels so real. I probably wouldn't reread it right away, but this is definitely one of the stories, one of the books that sticks to you after you read it. I would definitely recommend this book to people who like true stories and books that focus more on real life experiences and family dynamics instead of just random action or fantasy. It's probably better for teenagers and older readers, mostly because a lot of the topics in this book are serious. If you like books that make you think about life and the way people deal with challenges, then this would definitely be a good one to try. For my rating, I definitely give the Glass Castle a 9 out of 10. The overall story and is very memorable, and the fact that it's a true story makes it even more impactful. So yeah, if you're looking for a book that makes you see the world a little differently, I would definitely recommend giving The Glass Castle a chance. Hopefully that was 8 minutes. If not